This is $900 in assorted random bills, aka what I used to buy cars with in high school. Now, I was in high school from 2006 to 2009, 2005, 2009, I don't know, somewhere in there. And I bought cars basically under $1,000 was like my rule, and I could go buy cars and I would sell them and fix them or try to fix them, mostly unsuccessfully. I wanted to answer the question today, can you still do this in 2023? Take less than $1,000 and buy a good car? And the answer is sort of. But we have to go back in time a little bit to the day that I bought a car for $900. Technically, it was the end of 2022, but we'll round up to 2023. This is our 1997 Honda CR-V. No VTEC, but it is all-wheel drive, or it used to be. Somebody removed the drive shaft. We'll go to that later. But before I do anything on this car to get it running, we're gonna wash it, because it is dirty. It sat under a tree for about a year. You can't see out the windows from all the dirt. So we're gonna go ahead and, yeah, there's a lot of peeling clear coat. We're gonna go ahead and wash this thing and just see what we've got, but I don't think it's that bad of a car. If you can find a dirty car, it's a good bargaining chip. This car was $1,200 on like Facebook Marketplace, but I offered him $900 and he took it because of how rough the car looked. Now, I didn't care how rough the car looked. I just needed a car that worked. This car did need a battery, so I did that basically immediately and then just drove it, and it drove pretty great. But we needed to wash it because I couldn't actually see out the windows. So we took some really heavy abrasive sponges and just got all of the grime off. It sat under a tree for about 1.5 years, and you couldn't even see out the windows because of how dirty it was. So we cleaned all that off, and it honestly looks decent. The cleaner that I'm using is from a company called Reflective Car Care, and this is a guy that watches the channel and sent me some of his stuff just to try out, and this stuff works really well. The one I'm using is actually the glass cleaner, and I tried it on the interior and it just cleaned up the plastic and leather pretty well. But he has a full line of car care products, so I'm going to leave a link to his products in the description below. It's worth checking out. This is unpaid. He's just a friend of the channel, and I wanted to support his business. So we're gonna do a little light off-roading. This is just a little dirt road that goes outside of our house, but there is a pretty good trail up here we're gonna go hit. Should be pretty fun. This is not set up for all-wheel drive yet. They've pulled the drive shaft out. I don't know if it broke or what. I gotta order a new one. So we are just front-wheel drive, but we're not gonna do anything too crazy.
Yeah, kind of over here so I don't get
You're
smashed.
recording. You see it recording and counting?
Yep.
Okay, keep it going.
Wait, I'm not gonna. Oh, there's a car. There's a car in the wilderness right now. I don't know how, but there's a car in the wilderness. There's a car in the wilderness. Did my dad just get that? My dad just get that car out of the wilderness. It just got me off, but I hope we're not done videoing.
All right, come back down here.
Okay, I'm gonna bring a tree with me, probably. No, I can't pick the tree up. Ow. He just moved. He just made a trail through the leaves. Okay, so we just parked.
Still filming?
Yep.
Ta-da! First trail test done. It did great. We could definitely use all-wheel drive and maybe some new tires, but overall I'm happy. We pulled the floor mats out, so it's a lot less stinky now, which is good. Put a few air fresheners in there. The boys like it. I like it. Seat belts work. Most of the windows work. It's a luxury car.
Oh my gosh. Dude, that's so cool. Okay, so we're still videoing, but okay, now
we caught a lizard. Come here.
we caught a lizard. For
Here.
real.
Can you see him?
A lizard on here. I think I'm gonna catch him.
Come on your hand.
No, he can bite.
Wait, what are you doing?
Getting wood, using wood to catch him.
Oh, he's gone. He's scared of you.
Oh my gosh! Did he get on me?
Oh yeah, he's on your leg.
Get him off! Is that a joke?
That's a joke. He jumped down to the ground.
Where is he?
I don't know.
Scare me.
I know. With the car clean, it really looks pretty good, honestly. Like it's not, I mean, okay. For $900, it looks great. And it's drivable, so I spent the past 3 weeks
Put
driving.
that right by that down.
And honestly, the thing drove awesome while it was driving, up until the point that it didn't. I was driving and it stopped. Had the car about 3 weeks now. Been daily driving it. And the question to be answered is, can you get a reliable car for $900? All right, let's talk about engines for a second. One second, let me get you guys right in here. So engines are complicated, but what they do is not. They're just air pumps. So air has to come in, it has to get exploded by a spark and some fuel, and then it has to get out. That's all the engine is doing. And if you simplify it, I think it makes it a little bit easier to understand. Now, when your car stops running while you are driving, there's only a few things that it could be aside from catastrophic failure. So if there's no windows in your block and there's no oil on the ground, it's probably going to be a fuel air spark or timing problem. And those are all easy enough to solve, and you solve them the same way whether your car is from the 50s or from the 2020s. They're all the same. There's just some more electronics that have been added to control a few more things like fuel and timing, for example. So I knew going into this car that all I was gonna have to do is track down the non-running problem, fuel, air, spark, or timing, and we would be good to go. We could get the car running again. All right, we're not giving up on this old girl, and I think I found the problem, at least the first problem. So we did this in one of the last videos, but fast is what you go through when your car doesn't run, fuel, air, spark, timing. We lost something while driving. First you wanna check a spark because it's the easiest. For you guys that don't know, you can just take a spark plug out, plug it into your coil, and then ground it on something. Mostly the engine block is probably the best one, but I did that already. Had my wife turn the key over while I watched. No spark. You're looking for spark right in here. So no spark there. We're not getting spark to any of the spark plugs. It went out. So what we're gonna check next is kind of work our way back. Since we're not getting spark to the plugs on any of them, probably not the wires. It's probably further back than that. And we're gonna check here. This is a distributor. All right, so we got this loose now. You'll notice a ton of oil coming out on top of the transmission. I'm thinking that's likely valve cover gasket. You kind of, with oil leaks, kind of start from the top, work your way down. So we'll probably do a valve cover gasket on this. So this does have a crack in it, and cracks are bad. Water can get in there and mess stuff up, and it can allow the spark to actually travel outwards. So that could be an issue. All right, it appears my distributor is bad. I'm gonna try to video this. When I start the car, this thing should spin, and it is not spinning. All right, so no rotation on the distributor, it means no sparking. It's not gonna be sending that signal, and it makes me think that maybe there's a... What are y'all gonna do if that dog comes after you? It's like as big as a horse. You need to get off of the roof of that car. I already told you once, get down. Do not get on the roof of cars. All the way down. Get your grapes and all that and get it down. All right, anyway, so it's not spinning. We need it to spin. I'm thinking there must be some sort of drive gear in there that broke. So I'm gonna pull the distributor off and check that. If that broke, that would make sense as to why it just stopped suddenly when the thing broke. I just stopped getting spark and the car died. and it also explains my intermittent spark issue. So maybe we'll figure it out. All right, and there she is. I'm not seeing anything very noticeably broken here, which is concerning. If this isn't the problem, then the head may be coming off. Can you buy a $900 car in 2022 and enjoy it? If you've got some mechanical ability, probably. Stay tuned. After I figure this out, I'll update you guys. This belt doesn't look like it's severed, but I don't know. So I'm gonna have my wife crank it over. If those spin, then we should be good, and maybe the distributor was just messed up. But I'm gonna bet this doesn't spin. All right, go ahead, babe. All right, so no spinning on the cams, which makes me think the belt, it must be broken down there. So timing belt, fun times. It's a brisk winter day in Alabama. There's actual mist in the air right now. It's pretty much always wet here and cold, and I hate the cold. But this is the day that we have to do the timing belt. Now, for those of you guys who have been watching the channel for a long time, there's only a few of you. You remember I started out working in my driveway. I lived in a different town called Montgomery then. And I was doing things like painting cars with rollers and changing hubcaps and replacing brakes, very simple stuff. And all my tools were in a toolbox that literally sat outside. So I never bought nice tools. I know a lot of you guys have families. A lot of you guys have other responsibilities than working on cars. And so cars often get pushed out into the yard or into the driveway, and you have to work there. And this is the tool set that I wish I had when I was working outside. It's in a backpack. I can carry it in, carry it out. And it just has everything, really everything that you need. I did add a 1/2-inch extension because I really think it would do well with a 1/2-inch extension, but you have space for adding onto it as time goes. And I'm not trying to sell you this, though if you want one, I do think it's a great purchase, but I am gonna be giving this one away. So we're gonna use it today, and then we're gonna give it away to a lucky subscriber. Sonic tools are not cheap tools. Every single tool is backed by a lifetime warranty, no questions asked. You take a picture of the tool. If it breaks, they overnight you a new one. So if you are a shade tree mechanic, maybe you work in your driveway, maybe you work in your yard like I am today, and you need a good set of tools, go to Sonic Tools Instagram page, and I want you to comment on their most recent post that you see and just say, thank you for supporting Built, hashtag Sonic Tools X Built Official. I'll put it right here, Sonic Tools X Built Official, and that will enter you to win this thing. We'll let this thing run for like 3 weeks or so, just to get a lot of people on, to get a lot of people the opportunity to win these tools for free, and whoever wins, I will ship them to your door. Now, I am sponsored by Sonic Tools USA, so this will be a USA only giveaway. All right, so we're gonna use this set of tools. We're gonna pull basically the whole front half of this engine off, or side half, because it's mounted sideways. Replace the timing belt, and hopefully this thing runs. Also, hopefully we don't freeze, because if you've noticed the hood, it started raining since we started this. And I'm remembering everything I hate about working outside, especially in the winter. Let's get to work. So to give you just a basic understanding of engines, this is a diagram of a 4-cylinder engine, and basically what's happening is for every time the crank rotates, the cams rotate twice, and that accounts for all 4 cycles of the engine: intake, compression, combustion, and exhaust. I think I said those right. And so that's allowing the valves to open at the right time so that all those cycles can take place. So cams rotate twice for every 1 rotation of the crankshaft. Don't recommend using the vice grip tool. That's cool. Couldn't have picked a worse day. Like, literally not a worse one. All right. Timing belt is off, and I instantly found the problem. When I first looked at it, it didn't look like it had broken, and it didn't. As you can tell, completely intact. If you look right in here, the teeth have just been scored off. I guess I was missing teeth and they were just slowly getting eaten, and then eventually I got a whole gear's worth of teeth missing, and so one side of the cam spun, the other side did not. causing my misfire and eventual dying on the side of the road. All right, so we had a bad timing belt, and I had not a bad timing belt, but on the Audi, everyone was telling me to do the timing belt, and everyone was making a very big deal about the timing belt, and the internet was saying, you shouldn't do this if you're not a mechanic or if you don't have a lot of experience. And I get it, it's an interference engine, you don't want to bend a valve. Ultimately, if you bend a valve, it's fixable. Like, it's not that big of a deal. It's more work, but it's good to learn how to do this kind of stuff. And timing is really not that complicated or mystical. It's just setting the cams in the crank in the same position. And so what you can do if you're doing this is you get your cam set. Most factories will put lines on the cam gear and then lines on the block or the timing cover to line the cams up. And then you line your crank up with a line that's on the block. And if you do that, everything will be in the same spot. You put the belt on and then everything's in time. Now the issue is it has to be exact. So your lines have to line up with the head, from your cams to the head, and your line has to line up from the crank gear to the block. And if it all lines up, your timing will just be good. And you can totally do this. Now the good thing about the B20 and the B series engines from Honda is they're not interference engines, meaning you can rotate the engine without a timing belt on it and the pistons are never going to hit the valve. But again, I think one of my goals with this channel is to kind of demystify mechanics. It's Legos for adults. It's very simple. If you follow the rules, you fix the thing. And if you don't fix it exactly right, maybe it breaks something else, maybe not, but you can just fix that. Like, you can fix it. It's really not that hard, and it's just something that you just have to go do. Like, the internet can only teach you so much. You just got to do this stuff. So we wanted to get a timing belt on this car and just see if that fixed the problem. Alabama. All right, and with that, I think that we are good to go. All right, here we go. Please work. Ooh, she's trying. Made a pretty bad sound, but that sounded much more like a running car. People make big deals over head gaskets. They're really not that hard. I actually already talked to my machinist because I figured this would be happening. But I figured might as well throw the timing belt on and try it, because if it did work, then we'd be on the road today. But it did not. So we're gonna pull the head off. We'll send it to the machine shop and get the car running. $900 car. I can't believe you can lift that.
Did you know this was on the back of the hammer?
Yeah.
How?
That's a tool that Daddy built.
Oh, you built this on the back of it?
Mm-hmm.
You built this piece and this piece? Daddy, how serious? Hey, Daddy. How did you build this piece right here?
I screwed a hole in the hammer and put it on there and then threaded that onto the end.
Oh. Well, Daddy, I'm holding it with one hand.
That's cool.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, pretty crazy.
I'm just working right in here.
Okay.
On the wheel.
Yeah.
I see 1, 2, 2.
Lots of engine stuff in here.
Daddy, what can I get? Hey, push up. Push up.
Hey, don't make faces at the Porsche.
Hey, Portia. Because I need them. Remember, you need them to fix my race car?
My wife needed me to help with the babies earlier, so we're back. And I've got one bolt, I think, to get the head off. I need to have the head to the machine shop tomorrow because it's supposed to rain tomorrow. And I've got some meetings and stuff in the morning, and it just is gonna work out. This has to go there tomorrow, so. Came back out, it's about 9 o'clock, working outside with a light. We're going to pop the hood, hopefully pull a bolt out and lift the head. Wish me luck. Gonna need it. Oh, we're still connected somewhere. Oh, right here. Don't see anything that looks really awful except that. I don't know what that's about, so we'll dry that up, maybe. But I'll inspect that later, actually. First thing I'm gonna do, get the head to the machine shop, because that's next. We'll pull the intake off. I'll do that off camera, I guess, because it's dark and I don't know what this is gonna turn out. Maybe I'll film it anyway. I'm taking this off time lapse because there's a dog across the street that is not happy with me being out here. So if I get run down by a dog, at least it'll be on camera. It's a Great Dane, by the way. He's these people's dog, and I think he's friendly, but I don't know about nighttime. Nighttime's, I don't trust dogs, any kind, especially big ones. We'll keep going. Jeez. The head is back, and it's so clean you could eat off of it, but better than that, it is all in spec. So we did take it back. He said I had some valve seating issues, no bent valves, which is surprising, but he said I also had a blown head gasket, which I did not know. So we had some exhaust gases leaking into the coolant system, and that is never good. He said it probably was causing some rough running issues, which I knew I'd had since I bought the car. So very glad that we did this. Even though it wasn't bent valves, we did find some issues. Now when you take it to a shop like this, they polish all of your journals and make sure that the cams will spin freely. They check all of your clearances, they reseat your valves, they machine all of your mating surfaces. It's a really good thing to do whenever you're doing a head gasket. This is $220, and I basically have a new head now. So that's really awesome. Now when you're cleaning off a head, you should never use a razor blade because you run the risk of marring the surface. You can use like a black plastic non-marring scraper, or there are some other like semi-abrasive things that 3M makes called Roll-Lock that I've used before and I've had success with. You just kind of have to use your own judgment. I will be changing out all my coolant after this, obviously. And then just a lint-free cloth, you can rub it. This will actually take off more of the gasket or whatever residue is left. You may be asking yourself, why is Caleb pulling the cams back out? Well, that's because Caleb put them in the wrong place. This is the distributor drive cam, or the rear cam, or the intake cam. And this is the exhaust cam. Oh. And I had them backwards, and I didn't realize it until the head was fully assembled. So, a little more practice. Tore it back down. And the biggest downside to that is that I'm running out of daylight again. So, looking back at this video now, I realize that one of the issues that I had with the first time I put the timing belt on is one of the teeth was off. I don't know if it was intake or exhaust, but it wasn't lined up exactly right. And that's because I didn't actually understand where the lines needed to be on the timing cover. Figured that out, obviously. I've showed it to you in this video, but they were off just a little bit, and it was causing it to misfire, basically. The valves were opening at the wrong time. And so got that sorted, and then also found out through taking the head off that I had a head gasket leak. I'm not sure if that's the cause of the oil on top of the cylinder. I think it may have been. But the machine shop told me that one of my middle cylinders had a head gasket leak, so I think that's probably likely. And the problem with head gasket leaks is obviously oil can get where it's not supposed to go, coolant can get where it's not supposed to go, you can lose compression, there's all kinds of bad stuff. So really glad we found that. I'm not sure it was necessary technically for it to run, but I think that for longevity of the motor, it was a really good thing to do and go ahead and get that refreshed. So valve lash is another thing that I think seems intimidating, but it's really not that big of a deal. And all you're doing with valve lash is you're making sure that the valves are the right amount of looseness when they're supposed to be closed. So the way valves work is there's spring pressure on them, and as the cam rotates, it pushes down on that spring to push the valve down into the cylinder. And then as the cam rotates around, the valve comes back up, or the spring unloads and it pulls the valve back up. And when the valve is in the up or the closed position, you have to make sure that the spring is unloaded just enough that your valve's not open just a little bit, but still has enough pressure on it that it's just not going to rattle around. Because you'll hear a lot of, like on the old, especially old newer cars, when they've really been worn out and they haven't had a valve adjustment ever, you'll hear them when they first start up, just that's your valves, that's your valve lash. Major issues yet. I did have that misfire going uphill. I'm gonna guess that was related to the timing belt. Acceleration feels good. Man, I'm glad this car drives. Oh man. The engine sounds really quiet now, which is awesome. Still curves, pulls, I can't even talk. Face is frozen, still pulls really hard to the right. Yeah. I didn't figure that fixing the time would fix that, but run strong. I'm out of time today. I'm supposed to be getting my kids like now, so I'm gonna have to go get them. I don't know if I'm gonna take this car. I don't know, we'll see. Nah, I don't think so. I need to clean up. Oh yeah. Yeah, feels good. Feels good, we did it. We did it. So why did I even buy this thing, you might be asking yourself? Well, the Porsche 911 is the perfect family car. It's the perfect family car until you have a third kid, and then it's just not big enough. And that was the problem I was running into. I could not carry all of my kids anywhere, and I needed a back seat. This was $900. On top of that, we also bought some land, and we needed something to get around the land on. So I decided that this was the best option. I looked at some golf carts, side-by-sides, things like that, and they were more expensive than this. And so I can drive this on the street, it carries my kids, and it will get around our land. Now there's still a little bit to do to this. We definitely need some off-road tires, just like some all-terrains, maybe a lift, I don't know, and we'll build some custom stuff for it just for fun. Really quick build on this one, nothing too crazy. It's really a utility for me and my family to use around here, and then also just so I can carry all the kids somewhere.
Wait, I know what kind of tires we need. We need mud tires.
That's right. So let me know what you think. $900 is what it started out as. I think now I've got like 13 or 1400 in it, and I personally love it. It's a great car. It's pretty fun to drive. It could definitely use a turbocharger, but other than that, it's awesome. It's gonna be all-wheel drive. I have the drive shaft now, so we'll do that the next time that we do a video on this car. But until then, I'm just gonna be driving it. Ultimately, I'm really happy with it, even at the $1,400 or $1,500 that it cost me to get it to this point, and it drives pretty great. It does need to be cleaned still. It's pretty dirty, but other than that, it'll work for now. I don't know if I'll keep it. I might flip it. I might continue to modify it. We will see. But for now, we're just gonna use it for carrying kids. And
click that like button really hard. Hey, kids, guess in the comments what kind of engine we have in the CRV.
All right, so.
And the CRV is a Honda.
Everything I've been doing.
Probably a Honda engine.
Everything I've been doing for the past several months has all been kind of culminating. I've got a lot of projects, and I'm just trying to get off my plate to free up some brain space. And they're all kind of starting to get finished now. So hopefully we'll have some new content for you guys. But just so you know, I am filming every day, and I'm just trying to get some stuff pushed out of the way, sold, done with, whatever we need to do, so that I can work on just a couple of things at a time. I think it's just going to help my brain and make this a lot more fun for me to do. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thumbs up. Hit that like button on the roof. And on the roof. And hit that like button if you can. If it's side by side awesome or odd. Because you said the one thing is awesome. Then check this out. And the sky! Papa! Look at the sky! So cool! And share the channel too! I'll get